Hello and welcome to this special interaction with the management at Zydus Lifesciences. Dr. Sharvil Patel needs no introduction in the world of pharma is now joining us. Sir, let me just start by, you've had a career in this company after you took over from your father. And when I just look at this business, people would say that the company is well established. They are doing very well in generics. But now what has happened is, in terms of changes, you have gone ahead and launched some of the key important complex drugs across India, across various emerging markets. So can you just tell us what is the thought process behind this upliftment, this new innovation, and will this continue?
So, the journey for our organization since we are incorporated ever since the last 27 years has been that, we did say that we want to be driven as by research and be a research-based pharmaceutical company. And I think after 27 years, we have, made a change in how we are going to be moving forward in terms of what we will do in terms of our commitment to innovation, science, and also how do we shape the healthier worlds and make sure we take patient centricity at the core of what we do, and we give care beyond just giving the pill. So I think over the last 10 years, we've built a very strong research pipeline, which is with focus on drug discovery and innovation, with more patient centricity and making sure that we meet the unmet needs that exist today, both in India and also in the developed countries where we are present. So looking at all of that, that's how we christened ourselves into a new identity known as Zydus Lifesciences. And we want to move forward by doing 2 or 3 things. One is we will work on therapies where there are unmet needs, and we are doing so with our areas of work in hepatology and liver disease, in renal care. That's what we are doing as well. Also, at the same time, we will look at access and affordability and bring options for biosimilars, for novel biologic from the biologics that exist there for oncology, as well as look at vaccines for better access and affordability. So I think those are the 2 principles that we are working on at the organization and pushing ourselves to make sure that we do that. At the same time, we also believe that there are a lot of neglected diseases in the world, and we are working on a lot of ultra rare orphan diseases for newborns, to see how do we make an impact in bringing about some change for some of these diseases where there are no solutions for today.
So that was a very comprehensive answer. Let's look at it each one by one. So as you said, the company has a great history. Company has a great management for years now. But when I just look at this pharma company, just a clear observation, it's a complete pharma company. So you have API, you have animal healthcare, you have generics, you have human business, you have animal business, biologics, injectable, vaccines, NCE. Over the years, how have you managed to develop, this complete pharma company? Almost every segment is something which the company has.
So I think to answer that question, it's to do with a purpose again, right? We did say that we will work on 2 themes: access and affordability, and bringing being a research-based or a discovery-led organization. So when we talk about access and affordability, that's where we play areas like generics, complex generics, vaccines, biosimilars. Which is more to do with how do we bring affordable care for therapies that are currently unaffordable or not existent in terms of the molecules in different geographies. So that's one part of our mission, which we've been working very diligently on. And ever since early 2000s, we've been investing in drug discovery and science. And that is where we are, as I said, we are going to work on complex new chemical entities. We are going to work on diseases which are not where there are no solutions for today, and we want to create impact to the patient's lives, either through the product or through a solution. And I think those 2 things will be at the core of what we will do going forward, in terms of how do we make or work on a portfolio that we are trying to develop. So it is a portfolio which is broad, but it follows, as I said, the 2 principles of access and affordability and drug discovery and innovation.
Right. Just the second question that comes to mind looking in at such a big portfolio is that you would have also evaluated all these portfolios over the years. Is there any portfolio where you feel that, you could have done more, or is there any portfolio where you feel that, a little more could have been invested over the years, a little bit late, or something that you feel like?
So there's that, capital allocation and how do we allocate to businesses is a very, very important aspect of what governs both the management as well as the board. Along the path, there have been a lot of learnings. I think on the if we had to do some things better, definitely we could have done much better with our transdermals portfolio as well as some of our vaccines portfolio, which is something that we are learning and we are improving as we move forward. But by and large, I think on the overall portfolio side, I think we have been doing good because a lot of these capabilities we are building within the organization. So all the way from drug discovery to doing the preclinical work to filing the IND in developed markets to doing the clinical work and getting NDAs. I think all of those capabilities over the last 15, 18 years we have been developing in-house. And that's why we are now able to do more programs in a much more affordable and a timely effort, which is allowing us to have this broad set of capabilities that we are able to utilize. But yes, I think there have been a lot of learnings, and without learning, I don't think one improves. So I think during the way, I think we've learned a lot. And I think the next programs that we are running are far more sharper, far more clearer in terms of what we want to target and how do we want to go about it. And we believe that I think time is always of the essence, and we believe that going forward, important milestones would be achieving the targets that we are setting out for ourselves in terms of new research and new launches.
Right. So if I had to tell you to prioritize, say, two of the above therapies, where do you believe $1 billion revenue over the next 5-10 years can be easily achieved, or something where you see a lot of potential and growth to expand?
So I think two markets are very important to us, India and US, and a lot of effort that we will be doing are going to be driven primarily towards those markets. And obviously there will be a cascading benefit to the other businesses and units that we are present in different geographies. So if I take the first area of drug innovation, I think saroglitazar has a tremendous potential as we move forward. We already we have two milestones that we want to achieve. We want to achieve a late filing by 2024 for an indication called PBC in the United States and also followed by in Europe. And by 2026-27, we want to file for the indication for NASH in both these geographies. So that will be the big impact that we're trying to create. We see that definitely being as a very large opportunity to what you were alluding to, and we are making all our efforts to achieve some of those milestones. And we are seeing very, very good data in the early phase 2 and phase 2B that we are going about. And also we have good clinical and real world evidence in India, which gives us a lot of confidence and commitment that this would be successful. So India is already on a good path for this molecule, and we see that moving forward. Similarly, our next NCE, desidustat, which is also in the nephrology segment, has been launched in India. Again, this is an excellent molecule which will release the effort of how do you treat anemia for CKD and non-CKD patients with dialysis or not on dialysis. And also, more importantly, move away from an injectable to an oral treatment, which reduces the burden of care for both the patient as and the hospital. So we're seeing significant uptake for these products in India, and similarly, we want to follow the development pathway for the developed markets also. And these will definitely be very, very large opportunities both for these markets. Secondly, I think maybe between our complex injectables portfolio as well as some of our differentiated portfolio on the generic side, I think they have still a lot of potential to add significant upside to the business as we move forward. And finally, biosimilars and vaccines will be another chunk of businesses that can add a good business both in the developing countries and in India. In India, we are already doing exceedingly well on the biosimilar side. We are one of the top companies there with almost 13 launches and a large pipeline to follow. And we are seeing great opportunity with first in India launches in these segments.
Right. So when we just talk about the India market business, so the company has been overall on the forefront in terms of investment, in terms of innovation, in terms of new launches, and especially new complex launches. But we would still say that the growth has been either in line with the domestic formulation industry or slightly lower. Have the issues been identified over the last 1 year as launches have been picked up, MR has gone digital? You think there are some issues which needs to be sorted out, which the company is looking forward to in the next 5 years?
So it is, yes, the India business has been a very long and established business for the organization with multiple rounds of restructuring as well as acquisitions. I think we have gone through a major restructuring exercise in the last 1.5 to 2 years. And I think majority of the major changes have been made. What we are now doing is the two focuses. One is critical is volume. We need to make sure that we grow on volumes. And second is important new launches. I think these two are definitely going to aid the overall growth of the market. Our expectations that we are building towards is that we grow the India formulations business. We exceed the industry growth in the coming years and gain share in our key therapies that we have identified. And this will strongly be driven, as I said, by volume growth and in critical new product introductions that we're doing, and critical molecules like saroglitazar, desidustat, and many more on the oncology side, which will allow us to gain traction. We are seeing good green shoots on all of these things. We have very strong leadership positions on many of these, and they're doing very well. So as the portfolio becomes newer, responds to the current dynamics of the market and the disease areas that we are targeting, I think the businesses will, as I said, are aspiring to grow and exceed industry expectations.
Right. When we look at the Indian markets, I was reading somewhere that the chronic portfolio itself in India could be much, much higher than what it has been earlier. Over the next few years, it could be a very big opportunity. In fact, it could be as big as, a significant percentage of India portfolio. How is the company prepared? And from your company's perspective, is this a big opportunity?
So India will always remain the most important opportunity for any Indian organization. It's a very well-established market. We have a very strong presence in the domestic Indian market, boosting it with the right strategy, making sure that we are adopting to new capabilities. The organization has made a very important choice as to how do we move away from just the pill. So, we are thinking, how do we do things beyond the pill? Because that's not the only solution for a patient. So how do we bring an end-to-end capability to the patients in terms of better outcomes is what the company is looking forward to in terms of building for the chronic segments. And a lot of effort, both on the digital side, on wearables, on using more AI and digital analytics and more capabilities to make a more informed choice for the patient are going to be created by the organization in certain therapies. Of the overall therapies, what are of very critical interest are cardiovascular, diabetes, gastroenterology, gynecology, respiratory, pain, and onco and nephro are the key areas that we are strengthening and focusing on. We have a very good portfolio to come in this, in both in terms of first in India launches, first generic launches, new NCEs, and this will all aid to the growth of the India branded generics market for us, and also have a unique position of creating an IP portfolio, which is where we'll be able to invest more in terms of how do we give better outcomes to patients. And that is what the organization is working towards in terms of creating that impact. A small example, if I can just give, we launched Ujvira, which is an antibody drug conjugate, which is the first biosimilar in the world, and we launched it at a significantly affordable pricing. And in the first year we have been able to give almost the same number of patients that almost half of the number of patients that deserve that treatment have been given that treatment. And these kind of responses we are seeing by the right launches at the right time and at the right pricing.
Let's move away from the India market. But before we move away from the India market, there has been an important development in the last 1.5 years from your company's perspective. You have managed to develop a vaccine. It was not an easy technology. People had a lot of question marks, but definitely this proves in the ability of the company in vaccine. So one is, of course, COVID vaccine. Second is the new technology, and third is the non-COVID market, non-COVID vaccine market. We've not gone beyond some of the top few MNC names in the country. So how big is that opportunity for you now that this human trials has gone successful with a new technology, with an Indian company that could manufacture at much cheaper cost?
So for the vaccine logic business, I said it's all about access and affordability. We wanted to create, when the pandemic was here, I think look at the DNA of the company is that whenever there are these kind of challenges, the earlier challenge, if you all remember, was the H1N1 challenge. And we were the first Indian company to come up with a vaccine for that. Thankfully, this didn't become an epidemic in any proportion. But however, I'm very happy to say that the the efforts that the organization put to create a vaccine which makes us self-sufficient was commendable. I think similarly, when we saw the COVID-19 impact that was being created, we were looking at all portfolios, and what we selected was a recombinant platform. Today, we know that the recombinant platforms are one of the most successful platforms when it comes to tackling these kind of viruses. We are very happy that our trial, which got conducted, which is the largest Indian trial that has ever been done, has been now published in peer-reviewed journals like Lancet for phase 3. So the quality of science and data is very good. The quality of the vaccine is very good. The effect of the vaccine has been already demonstrated and reviewed. We have faced challenges in upgrading our capabilities in commercializing this, because this is again first time in the world we or any company is producing vaccines at this scale. But this has given us a lot of opportunity to use this platform as a critical platform for future vaccines. Flu becomes an immediate opportunity as to how do you integrate this platform for flu. And there are some other viruses which can be easily adaptable to this platform. And more importantly, as you see the virus COVID-19 mutating, this is one platform which is a plug and play platform. Beyond this, I think what we are working on is the access program vaccines like the MR, TCV, varicella, which are going to be very critical vaccines. But overall, we'll have a pipeline of almost 18 vaccines to be somewhere commercialized in the country. Vaccine does take a long time. It's a completely new development all the way from preclinical to phase 1, phase 2, phase 3 with new facilities. So it's a long activity in terms of what you do. But once you're able to build that, we believe we'll be self-sufficient in terms of providing responsible amount of doses for any types of viruses, for both infectious viruses as well as also for the immunization programs that both India and the WHO is running.
Right. Let's talk about the US business as well. So, in the earlier days, US generic was one of the key things that one would look at. But in the last 6-7 years, it's really been a pain point across Indian pharma industry, whether you call it as pricing pressure, whether you call it as regulatory issues, whether you call it as markets getting more players. What would be your assessment in the last 6-7 years for the US generic markets? What has changed over there?
So in US has been always a cyclical business when it comes to generics. I think the major consolidation that we saw at the buyers created a big disruption for the manufacturers, where a lot of margin pressures came up, and competitive pricing led to almost products becoming unaffordable in terms of manufacturing. Similarly, I think we have seen a lot of new entrants and a lot of approvals for old generics, which has led to further price erosions in the market. So I think these two things have coupled to the erosion that we have seen in the market. But knowing it being a generics market, we always assume that there is going to be a high to mid single digit price erosion in the market. I think what can offset is two to three things. We have always believed that supply chain is a very, very critical aspect of doing generics business in the US, and how one controls efficiently the supply chain is very, very critical. And we have seen significant opportunities being created for businesses and companies when you see disruptions, because we see every couple of years a major disruptions to the supply chain, either because of unviability, the cost has gone up and the prices have not gone up, and that makes the business unviable, or because of regulatory concerns, some concerns that get to be created. And those are opportunities when you have a breadth and depth of portfolio that you can manage these disruptions and do well with it in terms of providing products. The other is to make sure you also have a little bit of a complex and differentiated pipeline. So, working on oral solids, which are more on the modified release platforms, working on injectables, and also some complex injectables to make sure you are differentiated, and making sure that the end-to-end supply chain, all the way from KSMs to the product, we have some control over in terms of de-risking, will all help in terms of growing the US business. So in our view, I think if you take a 2025 view for the organization, we still are very bullish on the generics market in the US. I believe there would be changes to the market. And with the right portfolio and the breadth of portfolio, one can really be successful in that market. And that is what we are hoping to do. At the same time, one has to continuously reduce cost, which is one critical initiative in the organization that continues to be run. and that will help the organization to stay on with its established products in the US.
Right. So, it's been about 12 years that I've been looking at the pharma sector. And, as long as I remember, injectables have always been a great opportunity. Biosimilars have always been a great opportunity. Select generics in US have been a great opportunity. So, within the US market, despite the market being overall stagnant, there continues to be a lot of opportunity for the overall pharma sector.
So, it's the world's largest pharmaceutical market, both by value and volume. So there is significant opportunity in the US market. And one has to, as I said, it's more not only science, but an art. It all depends on all these three things that I spoke to you about in terms of your supply chain capabilities, your end-to-end de-risking capabilities with your product portfolio, the breadth of portfolio that you create for creating opportunities when there is adversity. And more importantly, as you said, there are in every dosage form, there are green shoots and opportunities where there is limited competition or no competition. And with the FDA timelines improving in terms of approvals and launches, I think all of this will aid to better launches if you have a robust product portfolio. We at Zydus Lifesciences are at the effort of creating a differentiated portfolio. And I think we would see good green shoots of that in the coming years. And that's what we are building towards.
Right. So when I just look at the company has been on an investment mode for last so many years. If I'm not wrong, you all have invested over 11,000 or 11,500 crores, including R&D over the last few years. And over the next 5 to 6 years, the company would a minimum generate a free cash, operating cash flow of greater than 20 to 25,000 odd crores with the new drugs that you have, the capex and the capability that you have. What does all of this mean for investments into new area? What does all of this mean for the next 5 years of the company?
So I think one critical part of the resource allocation is going to be driven towards our new chemical entities program in terms of a clinical work that we're doing. And that's where the company is going to focus on. The second is to look at opportunities in the orphan and ultra rare diseases in the US and other countries, and how do we build a portfolio towards that. We already have two ultra rare and orphan assets, which we are going to commercialize starting hopefully by end of this calendar year. And both these products are going to be there in the market. And we're going to create a portfolio of these products, which is again staying to a principle of creating products for unmet needs that exist today and making them available. So that is one part of the investment that will continue to happen. The second part of the investment is going to be driven towards opportunities on acquiring brands in India. India is a very good, stable business. And we want to, allow and see complementary. If we can allow to, we can find opportunities of acquiring brands in the country, which can help with our assets or the specialty areas that we are working on. We are also looking at opportunities of brands also in emerging markets, if they are available in the markets where we are strong, as well as some bolt-on acquisitions in the consumer wellness space. Which are synergistic to the business we are trying to run. So that's one part of what we'll do. In order to create that capability for us, we have significantly deleveraged ourselves and we are very comfortable with our position in terms of financial health. And I think this will all allow us to invest behind some of these things, which definitely are not the short-term opportunities, but are the mid to long-term opportunities.
The last word before we end this interaction. You've taken over from your father, and there has been a big legacy that he's been leaving. Any one learning that you took from him, or his advice that he gave you when you took over, which you have implemented? And second, any big global pharma company or Indian pharma company which you admire and aspire to be like?
So I think a lot of learnings. I've been with the organization since 2005 and in different roles and worked very closely with the leadership team as well as with the management. I think two important things. One is we are very, very driven in terms of how do we professionalize the organization ever since the beginning. And we have very dedicated business unit and business unit heads who are end-to-end accountable for delivering results, and that is what motivates the organization and the leadership team at the company. And that's something that I would definitely want to continue as the philosophy of the organization in terms of building future leaders for the organization. The second is execution. Execution has been at the forefront of what we have been able to do, and that's something that we will continue to make efforts on and continue to improve on. Is never over, and we need to make sure that on all the large critical initiatives we execute well. I think the platform has been laid. If you take the long-term point of view from the vision of our chairman, which is also part of what the ethos of the company is, we said we are going to be a discovery-led organization. We will work on path-breaking innovations to bring and fulfill the basic need, which is making sure we see patient centricity in what we do and make sure we work on platforms where there are no solutions for and really create an impact. And that's been the lasting effort of what Zydus Lifesciences is meant to do and will do for the future. And in terms of looking up to, I think we look up to organizations and companies which are driven by a passion for discovery, passion for innovation, for taking difficult, bold decisions, for working in areas which are risky but are very rewarding. And at the end of it, I think we all are working to create an impact. And I think these are the qualities that I and many people in our organization look at when we are looking to see whom do we benchmark against.
All right, Dr. Patel, thank you so much for taking our time for us. It's been a great interaction. You've given us a lot of insights about the sector, about the company, and the way ahead that you look forward to the pharma industry, not only in India, but around the world.
Thank you, Pankaj. Thank you, everyone.